Good morning. I'm Sherry Rodriguez. I'm the Assistant Secretary of the Nevada Senate, and in the chambers, this is where I sit. And as you're aware, today, we are just going to be here to help you if you have any questions during your process. I'm sure you guys have had a lot of training and prepped on what you guys need to do. Lauren is our media clerk, and so she's going to help put stuff up on the screen for you. And when you vote, I'm sure that Tina has gone over a lot of this, but we just ask that you respect the legislators' desks, and anything that's on their desks, just leave it there. Don't go through their drawers. Most of the drawers are empty, but just maintain things as they were. When you request to speak, and again, I'm just reiterating information that you may have already been given. The voting system is a new system for us, and it's on the side panels as you've been shown. And when you're on your bills and you want to talk, the lieutenant governor has a monitor up behind me, and you're going to push request to speak, not the mic button. You just select request to speak. And then when he calls upon you, that's when you'll hit your mic button, as well as, I'm sure Tina's gone over the voting system with you as well. But I just want you guys to have a good time, enjoy your day, and learn what you can. And again, my name is Sherry. This is Lauren. And if you have any procedural questions, we're here to help you. But other than that, we're staying out of it. I'll let you guys do your thing.
Yes, ma'am. Can everyone hear me?
By your station.
With that in mind, I now call the 2023 Nevada Boys State Senate session to order. As far as putting the first bill up on the screen, whichever one is first in the thing is acceptable. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
On these bills, are you voting on them right now and doing?
Yes.
So you're not going to do like a
That's not something we've spoken about, no, ma'am.
okay, so yeah, just
The first bill we will be reading is SB 10. SB 10 is an act concerning further advanced STEM programs in high schools being a standard and obligation of high school educations.
Mr. Prunty, just a reminder to use the request to speak button. And Mr. Clone, we're going to read the whole bill before we start doing that.
All right. We'll now be going over Bill 10, an act concerning further advanced STEM programs in high schools being a standard and obligation of high school educations. Section 1. The STEM programs around the nation are implemented as a purpose to set up new generations of workforce trained in future working industries of America, which is projected to mostly embody science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, otherwise known as the future of American innovations. This section is encouraged to be used in further advancing/implementing STEM programs and opportunities in all high schools to provide branching fields of educational classes and projects that will benefit the city. Programs such as, but not limited to, aeronautical engineering, astronautical engineering, matrix algebra, applied mathematics, cosmology, astronomy, astrophysics, computer systems engineering and sciences, programming robotics, mobility/locomotion robotics, HRI robotics, classic STEM vocational programs, and etc. Section 2. The Nevada Department of Education shall be endowed with $30 million a year for the express purpose of enforcing Section 1's goals, to which the department uses as they see fit. Partnerships, companies, manufacturers, and education programs could support fundings and provide their own opportunities for schools. Example, Lockheed Martin, SpaceX, Alphabet, etc. Section 3. Private schools do not have to abide by this and do not have to be restricted by the provisions. Section 4. This bill becomes effective upon passage and approval.
The floor is open for debate. Chair will recognize Mr. Sievers Gansert for 1 minute.
While I believe the education, thank you, Mr. President. While I believe the education of our children in STEM fields is very important, I don't believe such topics such as astrophysics or aeronautics or many of the things mentioned by Mr. Filippini, I do not believe those are in place to be in a high school. These are college level courses, and not enough people will be qualified to take these classes, and therefore making it a greater waste of money than a benefit to high school students. Thank you, sir. I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Sievers Gansert. The chair will recognize Mr. Buck for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in opposition to this bill. Although I'm a firm believer in STEM education as the future of American success, it is is my belief that similar to what Senator Spillman said, it is really difficult for schools to expand programs such as astrophysics, applied mathematics, due to the teacher shortage and the level of education that is needed for a teacher that is going to provide these educations to students. And it is also not realistic for this bill to be effective immediately after passage and approval. I believe that it needs integration periods of at least 1 or 2 school years for this to be effective.
Thank you, Senator Buck. The chair will recognize Senator Lange for 1 minute.
Can we just stop for
Okay, we will recess for 5 minutes.
No, just 2 minutes.
2 minutes then.
Hit the glass.
Mr. Wong. Dylan. We're waiting for the water to get back in the printed copies of the bills. Senator Bremiker. I honestly cannot hear you. During recess, that seems fine, yeah. Senator Wong. Do you have to use the restroom? Is that what you're saying? If you're gonna speak, use the mic. I can't hear anything in this room.
Okay, I'm just wondering what's the procedure for calling the page during our session?
On my end, I have a button for page. I don't know what the procedure would be sitting from in the Senate seat.
Okay, we figured it out. It should be on the touch screen for senators on the left side.
Yes, ma'am. I think
Or
the
right
question
side.
might have been about like the Senate page, like to pass notes. That's something that we spoke about. Okay. Okay. So we have a sergeant arms, but we also have someone who's like a designated set like page like. Okay. Got it. Got it. Got it. Thank you, ma'am. Like, are you asking about wanting to speak? Yeah. So the page notifications are gonna go over there. So Aaron, when you're done with that, can you sit behind this desk, the Biamonte one? This one, Net Biamonte. So the screen on your right now. Look to your right, like that screen. Like that's the page screen. No, I'm just like you could just sit right here, and then you'll be able to see the screen. Unless, right? You should be able to. The desks are high, yeah. Can you see it? No. So when like, Senator Clone, can you turn yours off? Can you turn your page off? Okay. So if someone needs assistance or like they need to communicate something, then they'll hit the page button and it'll show up there. Um, pretty much. Senator Wong, if you could please return to your station. Call the session back to order. Seeing as we've read Bill 10, we will open up debate on Bill 10, an act concerning further advanced STEM programs in high schools being a standard and obligation of high school educations. The chair will recognize Senator Lucero for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this bill. I believe that having a program where we implement STEM programs into public schools will help foster the growth of the next generation as we move specifically into a new age of space exploration. We are continuing to develop our technology, and we must have an early start in learning for our young minds that will be the next in line to explore space. And the Space Force is very selective in addition to that, and passing something like this that allows them to take astrophysics, engineering, programs of that nature will help prepare them for their future in astronomy. I wait the rest of my time.
Thank you, Senator. The chair will recognize Senator Prunty for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this bill. What is exactly STEM? Okay, it's science, technology, engineering, and math. All right, these are some of the most basic principles in our more modern society. We should advance these in our schools, which will then benefit us later. It will help with more jobs and, as Senator Lucero said, space industry and exploration. And it will lead to better technology, foreign and domestic purposes. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Senator Prunty. The chair will recognize Senator Beremacher for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in opposition to this bill. So I view this bill as a whole as unproductive. Essentially, we need to first look at our current STEM programs in America. The math programs in America standard are extremely expansive. We have the math program ranging all the way up to AP Calculus, AP Statistics, etc. So the problem here really isn't our foundational math programs in America. It's our quality of education. Recently, as recently as of 2017, Nevada ranked last in education as a whole out of all 50 states, including yes, essentially, we ranked last. So what we need to focus on is not expanding our STEM education, but refining it and making it better for our students. Expanding it won't actually achieve anything for our students. It'll just make it infinite options and infinite choices. Furthermore, since the students are not actually succeeding in these STEM programs so far, it's not actually going to accommodate this failure to teach our students the foundational math principles that they need. Thank you. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Senator Beremacher. The chair will recognize Senator Clone for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this bill. We already have dual credit and AP classes in our school, so why would we not allow more college level classes for our more advanced students? We have calculus already, which is a college level math class, so why would we not, should we cancel teaching calculus to students? And then also it expands the horizon of more opportunities to students. Like for me, for example, I have never thought of doing astrophysics anything because it's just not in my bubble. So if we add it to students' bubbles, we can inspire more people to expand out and take these more obscure job holdings. I rest the rest of my time.
Thank you, Senator Clone. The chair will recognize Senator Prunty for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to motion a previous question. Yield the rest of my time.
Is there a second? Seeing as there's a second, we'll move to voting on previous question. All those in favor of moving to previous question, say aye. All those opposed, say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. We'll now move to voting. Senator Filippini, if you could please do the roll call vote on bill number 10.
Senator Lucero, Senator Prunty, Senator Chin, Senator Bremaker, Senator Wang, Senator Spielman, Senator Clone, Senator, I'm sorry. Appears the ayes have it. Meaning Bill 10 will be passed.
We're going to take a quick 1-minute recess. Prunty, what's up? What's up? What's up?
All right, we will now open voting.
Senator Clone. A 5-3 decision. It appears the ayes have it. Bill number 10 will pass. Excuse me, staff? Dylan, Mr. Scott? Are we okay to begin? Dylan? Dylan? Are we okay to begin? Can we go? Are we good to go? Okay, cool.
All right, so as you see, we will be moving on to Bill 25. We will not be doing some of these bills that are listed, depending on whether or not they were in the program. So we're going to move past 20 onto Bill 25. Bill 25, Las Vegas Current Construction Improvement Act, to improve and enhance current ongoing construction projects in Las Vegas in order to ensure efficiency and effectiveness along with public safety. Section 1, Construction Management and Coordination. A, the authority shall establish a centralized system for tracking and monitoring construction projects, including timelines, progress, and potential disruptions. B, collaboration with the local municipalities, transportation agencies, and contractors shall be prioritized to ensure effective project coordination and minimize conflicts. Section 2, Traffic Management and Public Safety. A, the Las Vegas Regional Transport Authority shall develop comprehensive traffic management plans for areas affected by current construction projects. The plan shall include measures to minimize traffic disruptions, provide alternate routes, and enhance signage and communication to guide drivers. C, public safety measures including appropriate signage, barriers, and traffic control personnel shall be implemented to safeguard pedestrians and motorists. Section 3, Community Engagement and Communication. The Las Vegas Regional Construction Authority shall establish mechanisms for effective communication and engagement with local businesses, residents, and community organizations affected by current construction projects. B, the authority shall provide timely updates, project information, and avenues for public input and feedback to address concerns and facilitate community involvement. C, regular communication channels such as a dedicated website, hotline, and public meetings shall be established to ensure transparency and accessibility to project information.
The chair highly encourages order in the chambers. The chair will recognize Senator Chin for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in opposition to this bill. Seeing on the ledge tracker, this bill was written partially or in full by AI. I think that a bill like this should not have even been allowed within the Senate, and it would be a disgrace if we tried to pass this. Many parts of it are vague and nonsensical, and that is very clear given the fact that it was generated. I do not think we should pass this. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Senator Chin. We are on Bill 25. It is on the back side of the first sheet. Can everyone see that? Great. The chair will recognize Senator Wong for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this bill. An act to improve the current construction and enhance current ongoing construction projects in Las Vegas would definitely help with public safety, especially with Vegas, with such a big community, with tons of traffic. I believe that with this act, we will effectively mitigate the traffic problems that Las Vegas is experiencing. Las Vegas historically has been experiencing a large problem with traffic, with drunk driving, with rear-end collisions and other car crashes and traffic issues. I believe that with the passing of the act, it will effectively mitigate this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Wong. The chair will recognize Senator Bremiker for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in opposition to this bill. So, first of all, as my fellow Senator Chin pointed out, this bill was written in part by AI. Second of all, more importantly, this bill is effectively redundant. The majority of these sections, if not all, Section 1, 2, and the majority of 3 are already in place. All of these measures that the bill suggests already occur. Section 2 suggests that public safety measures, including appropriate signage, barriers, and traffic control personnel, shall be implemented to safeguard pedestrians and motorists. This already occurs. Section 3 suggests that we need to inform businesses when construction will be occurring on their property. This, again, already occurs. I move to fail this bill because it's essentially redundant and non-effective. Thank you. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Senator Bremiker. The chair will recognize Senator Lucero for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to rise in opposition to this bill. I agree with the previous statements just made. The redundance of this bill provides little to no help with the purpose it tries to convey. I believe rather than a bill like this, we should increase the budget of construction so that they can hire more workers, have better technology. And whether or not this was made by AI simply does not matter because it is just not an effective bill. I waive the rest of my time.
Thank you, Senator. The chair will recognize Senator Prunty for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield my time to Mr. Sean.
I'm watching this bill on the ledge tracker, and it is evident to me that it has been written with AI. And I'm beginning to question the integrity of Senate and lawmakers if they're trying to pass a bill that was obviously not written by a person. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Is there a motion on the floor? Chair recognizes Senator Prunty.
Thank you, Mr. President. I motion a previous question.
Seeing a second, we will now vote on the move to previous question. All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The secretary will now open the roll. Has everyone voted? Does anyone wish to change his vote? The secretary will close the roll. The vote on Senate Bill number 25 is 1 in favor and 7 against. The bill has failed to receive a constitutional majority. The bill has failed to receive a constitutional majority vote. Senate Bill number 25 is declared lost. We'll now move to Bill 40, which I believe is on the front side of that first paper. I apologize. No worries. Bill number 40 is on the front side of the second page that you were given.
Bill 40, True Price Bill. An act that will make sales tax included in the price of an item. Section 1. All prices of items will be marked up by state sales tax 8.25%. This markup will be given to the state government as sales tax, just like normal sales tax is. Section 3. Retailers must display the price of an item with the markup included. Section 4. If passed, this bill will be enacted in 2025.
Having heard the bill, the floor is open for debate. The chair will recognize Senator Spielman for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe that including the sales tax in the price of an item, while it would be good, any change in the sales tax would require shopkeepers to print out new labels for all of their commerce and would inflict a lot of damage on your local grocery stores like your mom and pop stores, and would only tend to be affordable and manageable by large corporations, which I would like to try and keep out of as many places where we can have mom and pop stores, which often sell higher quality and better quality products. Thank you. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Senator Spielman. The chair will recognize Senator Clone for 1 minute.
I stand in support of this bill. I personally have whenever I'm at the store, it's not shown. I don't have much access to money. Just personally, I just don't have a job. And I often forget or miscalculate sales tax, where I will buy too much of it, too much of what I'm trying to purchase. So I will either have to borrow money from a friend or go back and return the item. So if the sales tax was already implemented, shown on it, I see no harm in this. So I support this bill. I rest the rest of my time.
Thank you, Senator Clone. The chair will recognize Senator Brimmaker for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in opposition to this bill. So first of all, I oppose this bill for two main reasons. One, this is infeasible because sales tax is not the only tax that is implemented on a lot of products you see in stores. Sometimes there's other taxes that are applied to products that you buy. Second of all, this is misleading about what you're purchasing, what you pay for when you buy an item. Sales taxes are separate from the main cost of an item because that money is specifically going towards other causes. It's not going to the company or the store, it's going back to your government, for example. Therefore, this is misleading, and second of all, infeasible because of the different kinds of taxes implemented in stores. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Brimmaker. The chair will recognize Senator Prunty for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in opposition of this bill. The current Nevada sales tax is 6.85, so this bill is getting that incorrect. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Senator. The chair will recognize Senator Lucero for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to previous question.
Hearing a second, we'll move to voting on the motion to previous question. All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Secretary will open the roll. Has everyone voted? Does anyone wish to change his vote? Secretary will close the roll. The vote on Senate Bill number 40 is 1 in favor, 6 against, and 1 non-voting. The bill has failed to receive a constitutional majority vote. Senate Bill number 40 is declared lost. Seeing as the next item is Bill number 50, we will move to Bill 50.
Bill number 50. An act to help protect citizens and create harsher punishments for those who violate the provision of subsection 1. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate Assembly do revise NRS 202.487 is as follows. Subsection 2, to include civilian. Civilian is defined as a person, not in the armed services or in the police force. The civilian will be exempt from legal liability as long as their actions are gracious in good faith. Subsection 6, a person who violates a provision of subsection 1 is guilty of a gross misdemeanor and shall be punished by a fine of up to $2,000 or incarceration of up to 364 days. If convicted, it carries an automatic loss of pet ownership.
Brief point of information for Mr. Senator Bremacher. Oh, actually, I apologize. There is not. Never mind. The chair will recognize Mr. Spielman for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. Wow, I love my pets. I have 2 dogs, and I believe that anyone who is irresponsible enough to leave them in a dangerous or non-responsible situation, I believe it is every right for us to carry a heavier punishment for those who mistreat animals. Thank you. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Senator Spielman. Seeing no further debate on the floor, we will move to voting. The secretary will open the roll. Senator Rossetti, have you voted? Is there a way that I'm supposed to enter my vote, or do I just state it? Oh, I see the yay, nay buttons. Is that like... Nothing is happening on my end with the navigation controls here. Okay. For the sake of the program, is there, like, does it need to be inside of the system, or is it acceptable if we, like, have an understanding that the vote is nay? Like, does this need to be inside the system for, like, organizational purposes? Okay. I vote nay. This bill has failed to receive a constitutional majority vote. Senate Bill number 50 is declared lost. It's on the front of page 3, Bill 60.
Bill 60. An act to prevent biological males from competing in all female sports teams and leagues, to protect all female sports competitiveness, fairness, and safety. Section 1. All persons who are born biological male, defined as a person born with XY chromosomes that have undergone male puberty wherein the body produces more testosterone and has been raised as a male, are hereby banned from entering female sports leagues and teams. Section 2. No exceptions shall be given to male individuals who have not gone through puberty. No exceptions shall be made for males who have been raised as female. Section 3. In the case that a person is born with a congenital condition which may blur the distinction between male and female, they too are banned from entering female sports leagues and teams. Cases of XX male syndrome, when an individual is born with two X chromosomes while still developing phenotypic male characteristics, are banned from entering all female sports leagues. Cases of hermaphroditism, where an individual is born intersex by 46XX intersex, the chromosomes of a woman XY, the ovaries of a woman, but eternal outside genitals that appear male. 46XY intersex, the person has chromosomes of man, but external genitals are incompletely formed, ambiguous, or clearly female. Internally, testes may be normal, malformed, or absent. True gonadal intersex, the person that must have both ovarian and testicular tissue. Complex or undetermined intersex, wherein the reason of the intersex or the form does not exactly fall in other categories, are two banned from entering all female sports leagues. Section 4. Upon passing, schools must enforce this act with immediate and swift action to remove and prevent biologically male students and athletes from entering all females/all girls sports teams and leagues. Section 4.5. Should a school admit a biological male into an all-female sports team, they shall be fined no less than $5,000 per violation. Should it be found that a school allowed a biological male of any sexual orientation, preferred gender identity, or expression to enter and share female locker rooms and female private spaces, they shall face additional fines of $20,000 per violation, and administration shall face criminal punishment, child endangerment, child abuse. Section 5. No exceptions shall be made in the case that a male has altered their physical attributes, whether it be physical surgery, chemical and hormone treatments. No exception shall be made for those that have changed their legal name and have changed legal documents to show their preferred gender. Section 6. All applicants to an all-female sports team are required to submit medical records pertaining to their birth and all medical procedures that an individual may have received to school and organization administration in order to be admitted. Section 7. Biologically male athletes that have been admitted to all female sports teams and leagues in Nevada prior to this bill will be given the rest of their sports season to completion. If they are on off-season, male athletes will be removed from their place on the team and allowed to join an all-males sports team.
Thank you, Mr. Filippini. The floor will be open for debate, and the chair will recognize Senator Clone, for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand in support of this bill. As much as you can believe that men can identify as women or women can identify as men, that is fine. It's still, you can't ignore the science that males are genetically able to be stronger than women. We have, and also with the males going into female changing rooms, I don't feel comfortable with that personally. Even as a guy, if I heard that a guy went into or even if they identified as a woman, I would feel uncomfortable for the women, and I just support this bill. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Senator. The chair will recognize Senator Chin for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this bill. As someone who has managed and been in many athletic teams, it is very evident that men clearly just have a significant biological advantage. It's an important issue that we protect women's sports, since we've spent many of the last decades trying to allow women to have their own separate sport leagues, to be fair and competitive and not be ruled by men. If we do not do something like this, it would be completely unjust and would undo all that hard work. In addition, going back to the argument of protecting women, it is a huge issue if we were allowed to allow men who identified as women within spaces with, vulnerable women, because it would just, it's obvious. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Senator. The chair will recognize Senator Spielman for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I concur with Mr. Clone on this topic. I believe that the biological difference between a man and a woman is far too great for intersexual sports to be played, as it can lead to unfair advantages from a biologically male athlete who is competing as a female. We've already seen several occasions of this in our society today, and I believe it does not uphold the integrity of female athletics in our country today. Thank you. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Senator Spielman. The chair will recognize Senator Bremiker for 1 minute.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. I rise in opposition to this bill. So first of all, I would just like to point out a structural problem within this bill. The first section, or the introduction, states that this includes sports teams and leagues. So it seeks to include school teams and leagues. And then in section 4.5, it would like to fine $5,000 per violation. This is way too extreme to include school sports teams. It might possibly be more reasonable to include this for strictly like actual sports leagues for adults. However, this is irrational for sports leagues, sports teams that include minors who are under the age of 18. Second of all, I would just like to state that there are several things about this bill that indicate to me that this bill does not, in fact, seek to protect women's sports leagues and women in those sports leagues, and instead intends to attack those people in transgender people. I can continue later. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Bremiker. The chair will recognize Senator Lucero for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to previous question.
Hearing a second, we'll move to voting on the previous question. All in favor of moving to previous question, say aye. All opposed, say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Secretary will now open the roll. Has everyone voted? Does anyone wish to change his vote? The vote on Senate Bill number 60 is 6 in favor and 2 against. The bill having received a constitutional majority is declared passed and ordered to the Assembly. Congratulations, Senators.
We will now move to Bill 75. Bill 75, a piece of legislation to coerce the transition from fossil fuels to electric green energy methods. Section 1, introduce a 4% carbon tax onto all fossil fuel transactions like gas, cars, coal, natural gas, etc. Section 2, by forfeiting the individual's gas-powered car to their local DMV, the government will cover 6.5% of the cost of the new electric car. Section 3. The DMV has the right to turn away a car based on their judgment.
Thank you, Mr. Filippini. The chair will recognize Senator Cologne for 30 seconds.
I stand in objection to this bill. I believe that we can't just tax fossil fuels, or people who use fossil fueled cars to do this, because there are people who can't afford electric vehicles. It's not common for electric vehicles to be cheaply purchased, and if they are, they aren't of good quality. There are people who can't even afford normal gas cars, and I don't believe that there will be people who will be able to afford this change.
Thank you, Senator.
I yield my time.
The chair recognizes The chair will recognize Senator Chin for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in opposition to this bill. While I obviously oppose the tax, section I have issue most with is Section 3, which allows the DMV, based on their judgment, to not allow cars to be registered. This would greatly hurt the private industry of automobiles, as it would not allow them to, essentially make their cars not purchasable, hurting their company vastly. I yield my time.
Thank you, Senator. The chair will recognize Senator Spielman for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just like to say to Mr. Chin, I don't believe this is Section 3 is pertaining to the registration of cars, rather the process of trading in a vehicle for a 6.5% coverage of a car purchase by the government. I yield the rest of my time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator. The chair will recognize Senator Wong for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in opposition to this bill. Although I'm a firm believer in climate change and our need to react to climate change and have a transition into a greener economy, I believe that the introduction in Section 1, the introduction of a 4% carbon tax would not only hurt the economy, will hurt the economy due to the previous. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Wong. The chair will recognize Senator Prunty for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in opposition of this bill. As Mr. Cologne has said earlier, a 6.5%, taking off 6.5% of the cost of an electric car isn't that much in the grand scheme of things, especially when electric cars currently are very expensive, especially for middle-class average Americans. Also a 4% carbon tax, hurting them as well. I yield my time.
The chair will recognize Senator Burmaker for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this bill. So essentially, one of the main problems we face with climate change is a transition to more green energy sources. How we do this, how we make this more profitable and feasible for companies that need to stay afloat, is make green energy the more affordable option. We need to do this by imposing taxes on carbon emissions. For example, by with this bill, the 4% carbon tax on all fossil fuel transactions like gas, coal, and natural gas. So what this would do is make the greener option more affordable, not hurt the economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Burmaker. The chair will recognize Senator Setti for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this bill. With the current issue of climate change, I believe that this bill will transition to more renewable energy, and if climate change is not taken more seriously, I believe it can be a lot more of a problem to our planet in the future.
Thank you, Senator Setti. The chair will recognize Senator Spielman for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in agreement with this bill, and I would like to concur with Mr. Setti that this is a bill to encourage the transition of of fossil fuels to electric fueled modes of transportation or energy. I believe it is not a method to tax the populace. While it does tax the populace, I believe it is meant to be an incentive and an encouragement to transition to electric vehicles. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Spielman. The chair will recognize Senator Lucero for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in opposition to this bill. I believe that the market for fossil fuels, such as gas, is already very lucrative and pricey, especially for those from lower incomes. And I believe that twisting their arm into purchasing electric cars will just only provide more poverty for those. And I believe also that having to install more electric charging stations for these cars will also be a very pricey endeavor to chase. And I also do not believe we have the space for something like
That's time,
that.
Senator. Thank you. Chair will recognize Senator Wong for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. Although I rise in opposition to this bill, I firmly believe in the bill, but one comment that I would like to make for a legislator is that if the carbon tax should be taxed to businesses instead of to individuals to slowly transition so that the individuals in the economy don't feel the effect of this bill, and so that to foster a slower transition into a greener economy. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, Senator Wong. Is there a motion on the floor? Chair recognizes Senator Lucero.
Motion to previous question.
Seeing a second, we will move to voting on previous question. All those in favor of moving to previous question say aye. All those opposed say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Secretary will now open the roll. Has everyone voted? Anyone wish to change his vote? Secretary will close the roll. The vote on Senate Bill 75 is 3 in favor and 5 against. This bill has failed to receive a constitutional majority vote. Senate Bill number 75 is declared lost. We'll now move to Bill number 85, which I believe is on the back side. Excuse me, it's on the front side of the page after this one.
Bill 85, the Electric Incentivization Act, an act incentivizing innovation in the energy industry. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1. Any utility patent issued for a device or part of a device that works or is part of a larger device that functions to produce, manage, or transport energy will have a minimum duration of 30 years instead of the standard 20. Section 2. This bill only applies to new patents created after the implementation of this bill. Any existing patents that would fall under these requirements will not have their duration extended. Section 3. This bill will take effect at the start of the business year after it is passed.
The floor is now open for debate. Thank you, Mr. Filippini. The chair will recognize Senator Chin for 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this bill. As listed as a grievance with the previous bill, we need to incentivize energy. And I believe the correct way to do this is by helping companies and inventors to want to do it rather than forcing other people to be forced to use new forms of energy. By granting longer patents, this will allow people who create devices that will generate and transport energy more reason to innovate rather than forcing other people to accept new technology that they may or may not like. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you very much, Senator. The chair will recognize Senator Beremaker for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this bill. I firmly concur with Senator Chin. I think that this is a much more efficient and effective way to move forward with a green energy and more efficient products, putting the responsibility on companies who make ineffective and ineffectual products is a much more productive way to do this. Second of all, the lifespan of current products is just not fair on the consumer, and neither is placing the responsibility of moving towards more green energy sources. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Burmaker. The chair will recognize Senator Wong for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to say that I am in support of this bill. As a firm believer of a greener planet, I believe that to support the people, the inventors, the people that making patents for these new innovations would definitely help our economy. And I believe that increasing the duration is definitely very beneficial for our future. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, Senator Wong. The chair will recognize Senator Lucero for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to previous question.
Hearing a second, we'll move to voting on the previous question. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. We'll move to voting. Secretary will now open the roll. Pardon the interruption. Has everyone voted? Does anyone wish to change his vote? Secretary will close the roll. The vote on Senate Bill number 85 is 8 in favor and 0 against. The bill, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed and ordered to the Assembly. Congratulations, Senator Chin. We'll now move to Bill number 9, which is on the backside of this page.
Bill 9, Las Vegas Tourism Promotion and Economic Growth Act, to promote and support tourism in Las Vegas, Nevada, and stimulate economic growth. Section 1, Findings and Purpose. A. Findings. 1. Las Vegas, Nevada is a world-renowned tourist destination known for its entertainment resorts and vibrant nightlife. 2. The tourism industry is a significant contributor to the local economy, supporting numerous jobs and generating substantial tax revenue. 3. The COVID-19 pandemic had a severe impact on the tourism industry in Las Vegas, resulting in a decline in visitors, revenue, and employment opportunities. B. Purpose. The purpose of this act is to support the recovery and growth of tourism in Las Vegas, Nevada through targeted promotion, infrastructure development, and collaboration with key stakeholders. Section 2, Tourism Promotion and Marketing. A. Develop and implement a marketing campaign to promote Las Vegas as a premier tourist destination. B. Emphasize the unique attractions, entertainment options, and cultural experiences available in Las Vegas. C. Gain funding from state's tourism budget, leveraging public-private partnerships and secure additional funding sources. Section 3, Infrastructure Investment. A. Prioritize infrastructure investments to enhance the tourism experience in Las Vegas. B. Develop or improve transportation systems, roads, public spaces, and other necessary infrastructure to support tourism and accommodate increased visitor traffic. C. Obtain funding through a combination of state funds, federal grants, and private investments. Section 4, Workforce Development. A, establish programs to train and educate individuals for employment opportunities in the tourism industry. B, focus on developing skills and competencies required in various tourism-related occupations. C, ensure accessibility to individuals from diverse backgrounds and communities and comply with ADA standards. Section 5, Reporting and Evaluation. A, submit annual reports to the legislature detailing progress in promoting tourism and economic impact to these efforts. B, include analysis of visitor numbers, revenue generated, employment data, and any challenges or recommendations for future actions. Section 6, Benefits of Nevada. Due to an influx of revenue from said tourism, it shall be shared among various counties and cities in Nevada, thus resulting in greater budgets for future state projects. Along with this, the revenue bill will increase through additional sales tax increase by being 1%. Section 7, Star of Bill. This bill becomes effective upon passage and approval.
Thank you, Mr. Filippini. The chair will recognize Senator Setti for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in opposition of this bill. Seeing that the bill was written using AI technology, I believe that the bill should not be passed through Senate.
Thank you, Mr. Setti. The chair will recognize Senator Wong. 30 seconds, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this bill. This bill is very detailed. It includes a tourism promotion marketing, which Las Vegas is very in need right now. Last time I was at a Strip, it definitely was a lot less people than before the COVID-19 pandemic. I feel like it's definitely necessary as tourism is one of the largest economic sector in Las Vegas. That's how we get our tax revenues for education, which is an issue I'm really concerned of.
That's time, Senator. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The chair will recognize Senator Spielman for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe tourism is a very important part to the economy of any state, but I believe the tourism promoted by this bill would be gambling, and it would promote several bad habits, in my opinion, such as alcoholism or the perpetuation of prostitution. And I believe that this bill should, if it would like to be passed, should encourage the tourism industry to branch out into other sectors rather than the gambling entertainment industry. Thank you. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you very much, Senator Spielman. The chair will recognize Senator Chin for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in opposition to this bill. Although I agree with some of my nationalist counterparts that this bill would incentivize the casino industry in Las Vegas generally, which is a great industry in the state of Nevada. I strongly disagree with the language used in this bill, which is, while somewhat detailed, vague in how it implements and the funding to this. It uses words like create programs, implement campaigns, while not listing the cost to taxpayers or exactly where all the funding will be coming from or directed to. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Senator Chin. The chair will recognize Senator Prunty for 30 seconds.
Motion to previous question.
Hearing a second, we'll move to voting on the previous question. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Secretary will now open the roll. Has everyone voted? Does anyone wish to change his vote? Secretary will close the roll. The vote on Senate Bill number 7 is 1 in favor and 7 against. The bill has failed to receive a constitutional majority. Senate Bill number 9 is declared lost. brief point of inquiry for Dylan. Are we prepared to address the bill that is coming from the Assembly or not yet?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just now, if you have a laptop in front of you, I have officially shared the the Senate ledge document, which will include all Assembly legislation that passed in that chamber, and it includes all legislation in this chamber as a backup to your printed versions. Yes, you are prepared to see the bills that the Assembly has also passed. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. Everyone access that file? Give me one moment. We will be diverging from the agenda that is up on the screen. If everyone could scroll to the bottom of the Senate file. Mr. Filippini, do you have access to that? Here, Mr. Filippini, you can use this to read. Is there something that we need to do to... so this is a bill that just got passed by the Assembly. Yes, ma'am. Bill number 6. Yes. What's that? Yes, ma'am. Perfect. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Bill 6, a bill to increase the safety measures on the obtaining of firearms in the state of Nevada. Section 1, there will hereby be implemented a mandatory in-depth and in-person psychiatric mental check by a licensed psychiatrist for the right to obtain a firearm. For first-time buyers, a mental health check can be valid within 2 weeks. Section 2, all potential gun owners must complete and obtain a state-sanctioned hunter safety course certificate in order to obtain a firearm, as it promotes gun safety. A hunter safety course trains somebody to safely handle a firearm. Section 3, all firearm owners must return to a licensed mental health professional on a biennial schedule in order to maintain legal jurisdiction over any owned firearms. If a gun owner misses their biennial mental check, they must reschedule within a week or they risk suspension of their gun license. Section 4, violation of Section 3 will result in a fine of $1,000 and the mandatory completion of 15 service hours to the county in which the court resides.
I'd like to remind the Senate that this bill can be found at the bottom of the Senate file that Dylan Moss sent to you. It will not be on the papers. Everyone good? Okay. We have a limited amount of time to debate on this, so the intervals of speaking will be shorter. Mr. Filippini, if I could get my phone back really briefly. The chair will recognize Senator Wong for 15 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. Although I agree with the bill that we need health checks for gun owners, it is an issue that the bill does not include does not specify which type of mental issue would prevent gun owners from owning guns. So, for the bills to be passed, it has to be.
Thank you, Senator Wong.
Thank you.
The chair will recognize Senator Lucero for 15 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this bill to rebut what was just said. I believe that the psychiatrist can easily make that decision on whether or not a mental illness invalidates their right to own a gun. And I believe that this type of bill is necessary in order to protect the Second Amendment.
That's time. Thank you, Senator. The chair will recognize Senator Prunty for 15 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this bill, and I will now yield the rest of my time to Mr. Sean.
Thank you, Senate. As a private citizen, I am worried that these laws will give more control to the government and go against the spirit of the amendments that allows for guns, which is that we should be able to overthrow a government that becomes too tyrannical. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Prunty. The chair will recognize Senator Chin. 15 seconds.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in opposition to this bill. By not specifying any specific metrics on which to judge if someone is mentally fit and leaving it specifically to the psychiatrist, I am worried that not all citizens will be treated equally in this mental health check for being allowed to get a gun. Thank you. I yield the rest of my time.
The chair will recognize Senator Spielman for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to respond to you, Mr. Chin. A licensed mental health professional has more qualifications than we do as lawmakers to determine what is fit or who is fit to own a firearm that could potentially and is designed to hurt or harm or kill other people. So by putting this in the hands of someone who's licensed to do it, I believe it is the safest way. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Spielman. The chair will recognize Senator Clone for 15 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree and disagree with that statement, Senator Spielman. We all have our own biases, both political party-wise and city-wise for us as well. The different agreements on guns or on mental health is okay.
That's time, Senator. Seeing as we are moving towards the end of our period, I'm going to unilaterally move to voting. The Secretary will now open the roll. Anyone wish to change his or her vote, or his vote? Secretary will close the roll. Actually, yeah, well, the Secretary will close the roll. I vote aye. So the vote on Senate Bill number 6 is 5 in favor and 4 against. The bill, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed and ordered to the governor. Congratulations. Okay.
Sorry, how does one request recess?
We are going to recess indefinitely right now, so no need. Call the session to recess.
We have a flag ceremony, retiring ceremony that we're going to go to. So we're going to leave the chambers for now, and we are going to go to the lobby and wait for the assembly to adjourn, recess indefinitely. We will be back in here, and then we will hear a speech later today around 2 o'clock from a Medal of Honor recipient. So that's what the rest of the day looks like. We'll be back in here for about another hour after that. You guys are doing great so far. That's the plan. Yeah, great job, guys.
Dylan, can we leave our stuff in here, or do we need to take it? Okay. Sounds good.